Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're gonna be doing something a little different, a little interesting. We're gonna be doing just a classic old get ready with me, but we're gonna be talking about cartel news. Yeah, I know, super weird. Let me tell you what I mean. Okay, so a couple weeks ago, I announced that my channel was taking on a different direction. I was no longer going to be a review channel because I really didn't find joy in that. I still really do enjoy new makeup and all of that, but you know, that's just not the way that I want to go with this channel. If you haven't watched that, I'll link it up above. And so as I'm thinking through it, I'm like, listen, like my biggest reason for being on YouTube is to connect with others that are into beauty, but that's not all that I am. And so when I started to think about things that really interested me, there was two that stood out. One was my obsession with the mob, drug cartels, drug lords. Like, as long as I can remember, I've always kind of been into the locked up shows. When the show Narcos came out on Netflix, that kind of took it to the next level for me. And I just started obsessing and watching everything that I could on drug lords, cartels, the mob, mafia, all that. During the video, definitely give me a like if you like what you're seeing. Consider subscribing if this is kind of your thing. We're gonna do these on a weekly or bi-weekly basis, but you know, this is an intro. Let me know. I have a few names that I'm kind of tossing around for the series. I think my favorite is Makeup and Mafias, but I'm gonna leave them in a pinned comment down below and let me know what your favorite is. Now, with the power of technology, I am gonna go to no makeup. So 3, 2, 1. Pew. Okay, so yeah, let me tell you why I chose today as my little intro video into the series that I'll be starting. So again, been planning for this for some time, and then recently I went to Vegas where we visited the Mob Museum, and it's super, super cool. Our friend had like put together this amazing day. And when we were going through all of like the different exhibits and such, there was a new section there which was all dedicated to the cartels, Mexican, Colombian, all the cartels, which my friend said wasn't there before. So it's a new exhibit. And that's when I really got interested. I've never been into the mob per se too much. It's always been like an obsession with cartels, but it was just so interesting to me. And I thought, you know what? Let's start looking into this. Like, it's something that I'm into. It's something that a lot of people are into. Have to say that, you know, it seems sort of dark, but I mean, the information's out there. So why not talk about it and just kind of have a little fun with it as we do our makeup. I just realized I didn't tell you the reason why I decided to do this today. So yesterday morning, I wake up and I usually will, you know, kind of get up, get my son ready for school, and then go about my day. Well, I saw that in my recommended videos on YouTube, I started to see that there was breaking news where El Chapo's wife, Emma Coronel, had been arrested on alleged, supposed, reportedly drug-related offenses. They also said that they had charges on her for being involved in El Chapo's 2015 escape from prison. I mean, all kinds of shit. So I thought, oh my God, like these news just literally fell from the sky as a sign, because I've been wanting to work on this series. And so I thought, you know what, this would be a really great way to intro the idea, kind of see what your thoughts are, get a general consensus of how we feel about that, and just kind of go from there. So today I just want to talk about her a little bit and hopefully start a fun conversation. So Emma, her name's Emma Coronel. She has another last name and I found it in a couple places and then I couldn't find it again. But it's Emma Coronel. And I watched a couple of interviews with her that were done like in the last 5 years or so since El Chapo was captured. And she just came off as like super chill, like super low key. I did feel that at times like her responses as she was being interviewed were, you know, sort of measured, or I guess rehearsed. Like she knew exactly what to say and how to say it. That doesn't mean that it's not necessarily the truth. It just means that she's been well prepped for an interview that would be broadcasted on television. So they're talking to her and they're just learning a little bit about, you know, what's going on with El Chapo, blah, blah, blah. Today's not about El Chapo though. So what I started to do is I started to research more about her. Like, you know, she just seems like she's a very beautiful girl, 31 years old. She's pretty young, actually. And I say that because El Chapo's older than her. Very, very beautiful girl. She was actually born in San Francisco, so Northern California. And then after a few years moved back to her parents' hometown of Sinaloa. Well, she was 17 when she first met El Chapo. It was like a town dance of some sort. And she was there with her boyfriend. Super cute girl. She instantly got his attention. Well, when she was done dancing with her boyfriend, El Chapo comes over. They dance for a little bit, you know, but she didn't think anything of it. I mean, he was older than her. Everybody dances with everybody for these town parties. And so that was it. She said that he was very, very polite, very respectful, very charming, just a really like low-key guy, but still super, super cool. And that kind of got her attention. Then, you know, she forgot about it. She went on about her life. Then, a few years later, in 2007, she was in a beauty pageant and he was there. It was like all the beautiful girls of that area in Mexico were there, and she was at this beauty pageant, and they met again. And so they recognized each other, blah, 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 started dating, and then, you know, everything else is history, kinda. So then they just hit it off. They hit it off so well. When she was 18 and she was of legal age, they got married. And this was in the city of Durango, Mexico. And you know what I thought was interesting is during the interview, she kind of made it clear, like, you know, all these reporters say that it was like this big, crazy, elaborate wedding, that all these socialites and politicians and everything were there. That's simply not the case. Like, you know, I've never even seen my husband around politicians. And I think this is her attempt at like distancing him from like, you know, very important political figures in Mexico. But she's like, it just wasn't the case. It was at a family ranch. It was just our family there. And, you know, it was, she didn't say it was necessarily a small wedding, but it was definitely a family-oriented wedding. There wasn't people that she didn't know there or that he didn't know there. They asked her during, right after she talks about her wedding, they ask her, well, like, where'd you go for your honeymoon? And she starts kind of giggling and she's like, we didn't go anywhere for our honeymoon. Like, we stayed at a ranch, you know? I'm sure it was a legit beautiful ranch, but her response kind of like, I don't know, it just kind of made me think about like the shows that I've watched and stuff, because as much as like the cartel lifestyle or whatnot is glamorized or whatever on TV, one of the things that I learned in this telenovela that really followed Griselda Blanco's lifestyle was that, like, even though she was a very, very powerful woman in the drug cartel, she was responsible for bringing cocaine over from Colombia to New York and Miami, like became the cocaine godmother. Their lifestyle and the way that they have to protect themselves and live undercover is not as glamorous as people think. Like, yeah, they have all this money, but they don't get to go out and be flashy about it. I mean, flashy people typically get caught, you know, and they're always hiding. They're always going from house to house. Like, and she does mention some of this with El Chapo, but it's not as glamorous as people think it is. So for an 18-year-old that thinks about like getting married and, oh my God, it's going to be so beautiful, whatever, and then they don't go to a honeymoon, it just kind of, it was a little sad, but it also just tells you about what their lifestyle really is like. You know, they don't have the liberty of just taking off and unplugging for 14 days to go connect with your new spouse, you know? So after they got married, no honeymoon, you know, they just kind of shacked it up at a ranch nearby. They moved to Culiacan, and I'm not like too familiar with like, you know, all these areas in Mexico. I just know that when it comes to like discussions about drug cartels and crime and, you know, just how hard it is to live in those areas of Mexico because they're heavily regulated and controlled by the mafia or the cartel. Culiacan seems to be like one of those, you know, that comes up quite a bit as being notorious for crimes related to drugs and such. And I believe that Culiacan is in the state of Sinaloa. If I'm wrong, you know, I'll correct it on the screen, but that's what I think. So they move there. After that, you know, they're just asking about like what was life like and blah blah blah. She's like, I just lived a normal life. You know, they asked, did you know anything about your husband's dealings? And she's like, absolutely not, but honestly, like, they're wrongfully accusing him, and she's such a devoted wife. And then they start talking to her and asking her about, like, you know, El Chapo, and like, what does she think about, you know, what he's been accused of, and like, can she share about his character, like, what is he like? And so I just think it's so, again, she sounds measured and rehearsed, but at the same time, I felt like she came through as pretty genuine. So she talks about like how he's very respectful, he's very sweet, he is very classy. Which, if you watch the interviews from Kate del Castillo, which is, you know, that Mexican star that met him with Sean Penn, she says the same about El Chapo. She says that he is very respectful, very classy, like, does not like overstep with anyone. He's, you know, he's kind of low key. And so his wife definitely explains him in the same way. And again, such a devoted wife, right? So anyway, it just kind of, you know, they ask her like, what plans do you have for your life? Like, where do you see this going? Blah, blah, blah. And, you know, she answers in the same low key fashion that I feel El Chapo would, which is just like, I just want a normal life. Like, I want peace. I want to live, you know, a normal life like anybody else would. And I guess this is very meaningful to me when I hear it, because again, we'll get more into this as we get into the series, but they live anything but a normal, peaceful life. Like, drug cartels, from what we've seen, like, they're always hiding, you know, they're always hiding. They're always on the run. They're always on their way to the next safe house to try to evade authorities and try to make sure that they don't get caught, you know? And so, I don't know, I thought it was kind of sad. So as an intro to my series, I just kind of wanted to focus on Emma Coronel, because she, again, was just recently arrested. The alleged charges are drug trafficking. Okay, so now she's become, I guess, she has now joined the family business, I guess you could say. You know, they're charging her with being connected to the 2015 escape that El Chapo had. Is such a big deal at the time. And we'll see. She has 2 daughters. She says that, you know, they love their dad. She raises them with the truth. So, I mean, the truth we know today that we've seen in evidence, you know, from his case, and the truth that she talks to her daughters about, nobody knows, you know. But she stands by the fact that El Chapo's not a drug dealer. You know, he's not a cartel. He doesn't lead the cartel in any way. So, I don't know. I thought it was interesting. I would love to hear from you. Like, what do you guys think about how the mafia, drug lords, like all of that, the mob, like, it's all always been kind of glamorized in the media, in Hollywood, with all these movies that are out? Like, do you think that attracts the next generation, the younger generation, into a life of crime? Do you think that, you know, it kind of gives kids that may be growing up in difficult home situations and such, like, something to aspire to, or something that they could possibly get into? Like, I'm just interested. Like, I know for me, I'm just fascinated with the lifestyle. Like, how do they do what they do? Why do they do what they do? And I know that a ton of people are into this, because that's why these shows have been so successful. But I always wonder, like, well, I know my reason why. Like, what's your reason why? If you're into this kind of stuff, like, why is it that you like it? Like, what do you think about it? Do you think, is it like a guilty pleasure for you? Is it not? When it comes to the content that I will put together, I am going to focus on the history of it a lot because that's what's interesting to me. Like, I always like to know like what's going on the back end. Like, even like with my makeup and history, or like, you know, bringing the brands on for a brand spotlight for my makeup and chill series. Like, I'm always interested in like the person behind the brand. Like, what's the reason behind the things that you're doing? Like, that's just something that has always really interested me. I think it's funny that, you know, during the interview, Emma is saying that when they moved to Culiacan, she went to school and she was a communications major. And so I just think like she was interested in journalism, and it's like, funny how you're so involved with journalism, but like you're on the other end of things, you know? Okay, and here's the final look. You know, as much as we're not talking about makeup, just wanted to show you guys what I came up with. Again, this was using my Club Nebula palette. You'll see this look on my full, I guess, first impressions and just overall review of the palette. So I don't even know where I left off. I do have to say, like, why did I go? I went with an all matte, like super red, bold look. I think that that's what I think of when I think about women in the mob or women in the cartel, like bold, red for some reason. I don't know if it has to do with blood or whatever, but basically all I wanted to come on here and do was just kind of do like a quick little intro, get ready with me, tell you about what my future plans are. It just so happened to be that it was the day after El Chapo's wife was arrested. So I just think it makes things even more interesting. It brings us into this world that we don't always think about. Like, we always think about men dealing with the mob, the cartel, whatever. But there's a lot of powerful women. And the more that I research, the more excited that I get. I don't necessarily think that my series will only be about the women in the cartel or the mob and whatnot. I think it's going to include a lot of women. What I've learned is that a lot of these women were, I guess, sort of influencers or on social media as very beautiful women that really do appreciate and love makeup and fashion and beauty and all of that. So, I mean, at the end of the day, we're women, and this is something that we like. Not all of us, but a lot of us do. And so we'll be looking at the history of different iconic names in this space. This is just something that I'm interested in. It's just something for fun. I think it goes without saying, although I don't know why people say that, because then they go and they say it anyway, but obviously I have no connections to the cartel or to the mob or to drug lords in any way. It's a guilty pleasure of mine. I'm interested in it. I thought we could talk about it as we do our makeup. If you're into makeup, if you're into drug lords and cartels, then just hang out with us. Make sure and subscribe, ring the notification bell to all. I'm planning on having this series on a weekly, maybe bi-weekly basis, so I'll definitely update you guys once I make that decision. In the meantime, go follow me on Instagram and Twitter. That's where all the fun's at. We talk all about makeup. We tag each other on releases and beauty news. Like today, we found out that Becca is going to be no longer after September 2021. So there's always a ton of stuff going on over there, so go follow me there in Twitter. You guys, thank you for always just kind of coming along with different ideas for me, having these conversations with me. Let me know what you think about it down below. Is this something that you're interested in? Is there a cartel or a drug lord that you're interested in me talking about? And I will definitely get to work on it. I'm just excited. Like at the end of the day, I created this channel for a community to come and grow with people that also love beauty. But at the end of the day, like we're not just all about beauty. Like there's other things that we're into too. So anyway, comment down below on what's your favorite name for the series. I'm interested in that. I will see you guys on Sunday with my look inspo and just overview of the Club Nebula release. And yeah, I will see you guys next time. Bye.